Okay, folks. I'd like to open the Board of Supervisors meeting, please, for April. I open it with a pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, I'd like to apologize, everybody, that we've, I don't like to start late. However, we did have an executive session before the meeting tonight, and it lasted a few minutes longer than we thought. In fact, so much so that we'll have to go into another executive session. So we'd ask all the people, meeting attendees, to sign in, please. I'd appreciate it. The township, our meeting is videotaped. Is there any other people that are going to do any videotaping or anything else? I'd like to let you know, let fact be known now so we know what's going on. Comments by the members on any agenda item during the meeting for the agenda we'll listen to as it goes through that are on the agenda. If it's not on the agenda, we'll wait to the end of the meeting at public participation, and then we'll have it to public participation, okay? And the proposed agenda items must be submitted to the township, if you have anything, no later than 12 noon on the Wednesday before preceding the board meeting, especially if it's lengthy or some decisions that have to be made in the board. I feel, and I think my colleagues feel the same way, we want to ensure that we do justice to the items that are brought before the board. You can't just bring something in and expect us to understand it, accept it, check all the ordinance out, and ensure that everything's correct such. So we're not trying to tie your hands or anything like that. We just want to ensure that we have everything so we can make the right decisions for you, our taxpayers. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. So let's move right into the agenda, the consent agenda. Has everyone read the board minutes?
Yes.
Such? You'll be happy with me. I have no comments on the board minutes at all.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Hang on. We usually do the consent agenda with the board minutes, and also we had a special board meeting on March 24th too.
Correct.
So did everybody read those?
Yep.
Okay. And then we also had all the acceptance of the reports, the departmental committee, and we'll go in later on the reports if there's any 2-minute reports to do for any of the commissions that I have. Right. So I have the motion to accept the consent agenda and the acceptance of reports. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, folks. Thank you.
And I have a 2-minute report from the regional planning.
All right, go ahead.
At this time?
Go ahead.
Okay. We had the meeting March 29th, and the Ed Thurkoff, who is the consultant to the multi-municipality group, brought forward how we are going to approach the new regional plan that is being developed throughout the year. There will be, we'll go evaluating what is existing. They're going to develop goals and recommendations. There will be implemented stages, and then plan for acceptance down the line. If anybody wants to get their pens out at the moment, on the May 25th, the first public meeting will be held at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville so that the public can weigh in with its ideas regarding how we work together as a group. For those of you who don't know, it is the Borough of Phoenixville and Schuylkill Township, East Pipeland Township, Charlestown Township, and East Vincent Township.
Barbara, I need to interrupt you.
West
That the
Vincent.
25th, that's the multimodal meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's not the,
Wait a minute. Okay, that's the
not the-
multimodal meeting. I'm sorry. Maybe he didn't give, that's the multimodal.
Yeah, they
That was
didn't,
the
they
other
didn't come up
subject.
with the meeting.
They
for
didn't
that
come
one
up with the
yet.
date, excuse
For
me.
that one yet.
Scratch the title. I wrote it down, I just got the title wrong. The multimodal transportation planning is also being sponsored by Chester County Planning Commission. And that is the meeting that will be held on May 25th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville. Thank you, Martha.
I think we should have put that under announcements, but that's okay.
Okay.
All
I
right.
circled it here to make sure I didn't forget it.
I'm sure you wouldn't forget it. 2-minute reports. Jim, do you want to give something? By the way, I want the taxpayers and everybody to know our township's very interested to know what's happening in drugs and opiates and such like that. We had a special meeting here in the township with our police department, our township manager, and such like that. And Jim was the initiator of this. Jim, do you want to say something about that, please?
The Chester County Association of Township Officials has a biannual meeting, that's twice a year, where supervisors and township managers attend to hear some speakers, and then they break out into seminars. One of the seminars for the spring session was on opioid abuse. It was an eye-opener for me, maybe not to some others in the audience, but it's approaching epidemic proportions in this area as well as across the country. And Philadelphia is particularly a center for distribution and usage. It's located by the Delaware River. It's roughly halfway between New York and Washington, et cetera. Anyway, some of the things that I found from the meeting, we had a little working meeting. Fred and myself and the chief and Mary and the lieutenant. Basically, I was trying to emphasize that we need to do maybe a little bit more education about this problem. And so we're thinking about possibly something on the website as a starting point. But it's, it affects one personally. My son had a small problem with it. It was just basically taking Percocet or its equivalent, and he took it for maybe too long and had some withdrawal problems. Right, but that was the extent of his experience on that. But almost as soon as this thing became a focus of the county, I just recently seen in the papers various articles almost every day on this problem. So anyway, we're aware of it, and we're trying to help educate our residents about it so that it doesn't get out of hand.
Right.
Thank you, Jim.
I'd just like to add a postscript and thank Chief Fetterman and our police force, because last year, you may all know that we have 4 municipal meetings at the Phoenixville Country Club, thanks to the agreement we made with them. And the chief and his team made a superb presentation last year to us, making us aware of this. And in a personal note, I worked with the Phoenixville Area School District regarding Phoenixville's Renaissance and their assignments. And a young man who had to make a presentation called me. This is a 9th grader, and he said that he couldn't make his presentation on the day that it was scheduled because his friend had died the night before from an opium overdose. This is a 14-year-old. So it's here. It's not just in the inner city.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. The 2 things I would like to mention, by the way. One, the township had a great meeting put on by the Environmental Advisory Commission up at the Phoenixville Country Club on the 23rd of March. I want to thank Jerry Odell, who was the chairman of that committee. It was very well done. It was very well attended. It gave some tremendous ideas on how to grow a garden and how not to grow a garden.
I second that motion.
And about Bird Town and such like that, but it's very well done. Thank you, Jerry. And the second thing, I think all of our taxpayers would like to thank Nick, Jim, Mary, Susan, Fred Honeman, on the tricky snowstorm we had here on the 13th of March that we were pretty surprised at, that we sort of caught us with our pants down a little bit. But everything worked out well. We didn't have that many trees come down. The snow was more ice than anything else, but still was some major problems as far as traffic, and also to our fire department too. Everybody, we have such a team in this township that works so well together. They just fuse together, and it's such a pleasure to be able to know who we have and to be able to work with them. So I do thank all of you for what you do. You know that the FEMA has some meetings coming up, starting here shortly for the next couple of months. So if anybody wants to go read your document on there. I thought it was very interesting to read about the EMS 33. The number of, you had 24 people that were transported this month. 5 refused, 24 transported, 5 refused, no person was found, which is interesting. I didn't know where they went, and 1 was canceled. But anyhow, the REMS is working hard, and we thank them for that too. So Evan, thanks a lot for that too.
I have an announcement from the Schuylkill River
Fred,
Heritage Center.
I
Hang
actually have
on.
a 2-minute report. I have a 2-minute
Please.
report.
Go.
Okay. Our real estate tax bills went out at the beginning of March. So if you did not receive your tax bill, please get in touch with Kyle Shirkness. His contact information is on our website. Also, just a reminder to our residents that if you have your real estate taxes held in escrow through your mortgage company, it is your responsibility to forward that bill to your mortgage company. Kyle will not do that for you. So get in touch with him if you have not received your bill, and please do forward it to your mortgage company. And that's it. Thank you, Fred.
Good, thank you very much. Any more 2-minute reports?
No, I just had the announcement for the Schuylkill River Heritage Center when you're ready.
Okay, when we have announcements, we will. The next item we'll move into is payment of the bills, and our treasurer, please.
Exactly under announcements, can I make that
We
last
go
announcement?
payment of bills, please.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Martha, please.
Okay, our treasurer's report. Our current balance as of March 31st, 2017 is just over $3.4 million. We are a quarter of the way into our year. We have spent 18% of our budget, and we have received 18% of our revenues. So we're in very good shape. And I did review all of our bills this afternoon, and everything is ready to be paid.
Okay.
Very good.
Is there any questions? Do I hear a motion to accept the treasurer's report and the payment of bills?
I so move.
Do we hear a
I'll second
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, everybody. Thank you. All right, we'll go announcements, and
I'd like to make a
Wait
comment.
a minute.
You gotta pay the bills.
if it's on the agenda,
I hand-delivered agenda items last week, and there's nothing on the agenda that I handed out. Why?
There's nothing in that letter that said you
Oh,
wanted.
there's
to-
nothing in that letter.
There's nothing in the letter that said you wanted to be on the agenda.
I put the items on, I listed right there, I listed them all
It
in.
did not say you wanted to be on the agenda.
What do you think I sent it down for? I
I
brought it
forwarded-
down here, and I sent it, I hand-delivered to the person that was here, and I said, these are, it says right on it, items for the agenda.
I delivered it to the Board of Supervisors for them to look at.
You want to let them talk?
What kind of answer you give me? Speak up, will you please?
Okay, just tell them.
I copied the letter to the Board of Supervisors, so they have it. But no, you are not on the agenda. It didn't ask to be put on the agenda.
No,
Okay.
I didn't ask, huh? It says right on there, agenda happened, and with my signature underneath it.
Okay, Mr. Keller?
Yes.
We apologize that that did happen. However, if we wait till the end of the meeting, we'll ask you to please go, but we apologize. Thank you. All right, so we go into to announcements, please. I know, Barbara, you have some, so go ahead.
The Schuylkill River Heritage Center Museum at the Foundry Building in Phoenixville is hosting a special presentation next Tuesday evening on April 11th. The former president of the Pottstown Historical Society, Michael Snyder, will be giving a presentation about Pottstown's industrial legacy. Our museum celebrates the legacy of our region and the river, and it should be quite interesting. Everything from some of the parts for the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and if any of you have ever heard of Mrs. Smith's Pies, that came from Pottstown. So it should be quite interesting. He's written several books as well as a whole volume of newspaper articles. So no admission, no registration required, Tuesday evening at the Schuylkill River Heritage Center at 7:30.
Martha?
Thank you.
Yes, on April 29th, our Environmental Advisory Council will be sponsoring a Great American Cleanup event at the Pickering Preserve. It's not just a cleanup, but it's also a beautification project. Excuse me. I'm losing my voice, so please forgive me. It's also a beautification project. It's basically to get the preserve ready for the summer season. So we are looking for volunteers that would be willing to help us out. That's on April 29th at 8 a.m. and just meet us at the preserve. So,
Anything?
and if anybody doesn't know where that is, that's the property that's right behind the stove shop. So,
Do you do it in Meadow Grove, Meadow Bonnet?
The stove shop.
Stove shop on 29th.
Stove shop, okay.
Okay. Two items. One, I want to thank the township. We are a small unit and such. However, the Schuylkill Township Police Association collected coats over the last month or so, and we did very well. Over 300 of them that we got. So they did a really nice job. And I thank for anybody that's here or anybody that's in our township that sponsored this. And the police force also sent a letter thanking us that we had the thing right out here and thing like that. But thank you, everybody, for that. That was very nice of you. We have a zoning hearing meeting on April the 10th coming up. I hope you all realize this, but on April 17th is the last day to register to vote. Okay? April 17th is the last day to register to vote. We have two incumbents on our board. It's also your patriotic duty to vote. So I would hope that all of you would consider, and everyone that's out there would consider to vote, okay? There'll be more on the May meeting because of registration and also the voting day of May 16th. So please do that. And if any of we have some prolific writers, some people that like to write, would like to write an article for the township, newspaper articles are due in to Kim Yoakum, who is in our office here, at the admin building here, no later than 3 p.m. on May the 8th. So that doesn't give you too long.
That's for the summer edition?
So let somebody be creative and write something up that would benefit our township. It certainly would be appreciated very much. All right, do we have any legal items, Bill?
Just one brief matter. Mary and I attended a lengthy meeting today in Easttown regarding the Tredyffrin Township lawsuit against us and about 7 or 8 other parties concerning the Valley Creek trunk sewer. We're proceeding to try to work out a settlement agreement. The Valley Creek Sewer Authority is managing the defense, but we had to get into a settlement discussion today, so we were required to be present. So there's nothing new, but we're working toward resolving it which involves the sale of the trunk sewer trunk sewer line, which is the one in Valley Creek.
Thank you, Bill. All right, we'll move into
You need to put your initials on
old business. The next item is
everything else is signed.
consideration that the Schuylkill Township Board of Supervisors accepts withdrawal of the Pennsylvania School District conditional use application for the Meadowbrook Barn.
The indemnity agreement,
Yes.
the item ahead of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, that's you, right. Consideration of the amended and related indemnity agreement regarding the highway occupancy permit concerning certain off-site stormwater management facilities in Schuylkill Township. Thanks, Bill.
I make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Do I have any discussion on that?
No.
All right.
Thank you for your filling in all the information for us, Mary. Much appreciated.
All right.
I do have a comment on this.
Sure, Jim.
More a question than a comment.
Oh, sure.
The amendment, Bill, it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's
a clarification.
it's a one-word substitution in about 4 places.
No, that was from one draft to another. There
Oh.
were the project being finished, the as-bilt's being done. We had just modified the prior agreement in a number of ways. So you're just seeing, there's 7 or 8 drafts that have gone back and forth. You're just seeing one of the recent ones. There were some drafts with minor changes, but this agreement contains substantial changes from the first one.
Okay, Jim.
I'm presuming that the latest version.
You do.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm referring to page 5, just in case you're wondering what I'm referring to.
All right, Jim.
That's,
All right, we'd have the motion. We've had a second. Do we have any more discussion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, next item is what I started to read before. Consideration of the Schuylkill Township Board of Supervisors accept the withdrawal of the Phoenixville Area School District conditional use application for the Meadowbrook Barn demolition and pending resubmission of said application. The application fee of $5,000 is waived. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I so move.
I'll second.
All right, we've had a motion, we've been seconded. Is there any more
I
discussion?
just want to explain that by doing this, because the application had been submitted by the school district, the task force that was formed between some members of our historic commission and members of the school district board to discuss the possibilities or not pursuant to the barn precluded any discussion regarding input from any of us regarding this, because we would ultimately have to make a decision. Consequently, different ideas and some innovative things that have occurred in my head and others, we can't bring them to the table unless the school district rescinds its application and gives all of us the opportunity to weigh in on the pros and cons regarding the future of the barn. So
We have-
that's what this is about.
Can we have some more discussion? Susan?
Okay, great. Well, I just, on the fee, waiving of the fee, actually, didn't they pay it up front?
They did pay it.
Yes.
They've already paid.
They've
They're just
already
saying
paid
they
it.
don't pay again.
If they
Yeah,
come back
exactly.
again,
Right.
Exactly.
Right, yeah, they already did pay. Thank you, Jim,
Right.
for clarifying.
I think you got in there early because Susan was going to let
was
us
gonna
know
say the
about
same
that.
thing, yes.
Okay, thank you, both of you, for being upfront on that. Thank you. So we had the motion, we've had it seconded. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Any more old business? Okay. Under new business, consideration of the conservation easement acquisition for approximately 41.64 acres on the Freedoms Foundation, and I'll open it by giving it to Bob Mock, who is the chairman of the open space, or to Bill, either
So
one.
it doesn't matter. The open space law requires a public hearing concerning the application. And the idea is that the presentation will be made to the public about the proposal And then the public is entitled to ask any questions or learn
Jim,
anything
Jim.
that they might like,
Jim.
members that might like to learn about the project. So, Bob, go
Do
ahead.
you want to do the signature for this? Okay.
I think it's going around, Bob.
All right. Well, the Open Space Commission is seeking board approval, sorry, for the funding of a conservation easement on a segment of the Freedoms Foundation at Valley Forge property. Set this down. Property is located on Route 23, adjacent to Valley Forge National Historic Park. 75.1 acres in total. Conservation easement area will cover 41.6 acres, and it includes the Medal of Honor Grove, which is a tribute to the recipients of the Medal of Honor. It's a very beautiful property, has a substantial view shed, an impressive view of the Schuylkill River. It's mostly wooded with a narrow stream, and it has a significant forest canopy. There are over 4 miles of public trails, and the conservation easement area includes an outdoor stage and natural amphitheater, which can be used for up to 2
Thank you.
township events per year. The easement will preserve a wildlife corridor and, of course, preserve open space. This property is included in the Schuylkill Township open space map that was created by the Open Space Commission and then approved by the Open Space Commission, the Planning Commission, and the Board of Supervisors, all in 2009. Property is located right here. This green area is Valley Forge National Historic Park. The conservation easement area is included within this boundary, the orange boundary line and the orange and black boundary line. This is the conservation easement area here. You can see it's a very heavily wooded area. This is part of Valley Forge National Historic Park. And the property over here is the conference center at Valley Forge. This little area here, bordered by the white and orange border, is where the natural amphitheater and the stage are located. It's really a very beautiful, very impressive setting. This area here is the portion of the Freedoms property that is not included in the conservation easement area. And this is Route 23, and the river in the northeast corner is the Schuylkill. The appraised value of this conservation easement is $2.215 million. The township will fund $1.415 million out of open space funds. We're very pleased that Chester County, through a grant, will provide an additional $800,000 to cover the entire total price, the total purchase price of $2,215,000. Natural Lands Trust is a conservation easement holder and will have ongoing responsibility for monitoring and enforcement of the restrictions in the conservation easement. A conservation easement transaction is one in which the development rights are purchased from a landowner. The landowner isn't selling land. The landowner is selling the right to develop that land. So the landowner continues to own the land, the landowner continues to use the land, but the landowner can never develop that land. That land will be conserved forever. Now, my voice isn't changing, I have bronchitis. The township has a clear mandate to preserve open space in the township. On November 7th, 2006, in an off-year election, 62.4% of our registered voters showed up at the polls. This is an extraordinary turnout for off-year elections. And of those that came to the polls to vote on this referendum, 62.3% voted in favor of the open space referendum. So we have a clear mandate, and that's what's behind our efforts to preserve open space. Also, we have a limited universe of candidates. Much of the open space that was present 20 years ago is now developed, so we need to act now before our remaining open space is lost. We need to preserve scenic properties like this one and others in perpetuity to help avoid sprawl, congestion, and tax increases that often come with development, and to help preserve our environment and our quality of life. So we're very excited about this project. We worked on it for quite some time, and it really is a jewel.
All right, I have three items.
Just a moment, Fred, I'm sorry. At this moment, the law requires, any questions from the public? All right, thank you, Fred, you may proceed.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask. Are you through, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, is the Open Space Committee then making the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to approve this with all the documents are signed, the legal parameters are taken care of,
Yes.
and everything is ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. Bill, next. You okay?
Well, Bob, is the closing date set?
Closing date is set for April
Send
13th
somebody to this.
at 10 a.m.
Do we have a motion to send, that's next, okay, I'm sorry, next
Yes,
motion
we do.
is to send the
That's the
representative.
next item.
All right, well, that concludes then the business of the required public meeting. And the proceedings will move ahead. I mean, the purchase has already been authorized by a prior vote. So I think the next step is to authorize a signatory to attend the closing. So, Fred.
Okay.
Oh,
Is there any more questions? Bob?
Well, you know what?
Just a minute, Bill. There wasn't a vote
All right,
last meeting.
I'm sorry, all right.
The vote takes place.
Let's do it now. All right,
yeah,
okay, all
after
right.
1 month.
Sure.
I'm sorry, there should be a motion to approve the
That's what
the
I
actual
thought.
purchase.
That's what I thought.
I so move.
No second.
All right, we've had a motion now to approve the purchase of the property and for the second. Do I have any more discussion? You've heard from our solicitor, you've heard from the Open Space Commission, the chairman, and his commission. Now, is there any more discussion whatsoever? Okay, the motion's been made, it's seconded.
One comment, if I could, Fred. Just on the statistics in terms of voter approval, one of the interesting little footnotes here is when that vote was held in 2006 in this township, a similar vote was held in East Pikeland Township. And interestingly enough, the percentages were almost identical for approval. So it's just another reinforcer that, we do have solid support.
Thank you, Jim. I would also like to thank Jack from National Lands Trust that's here, who's done all the hard work you've done to help us to have
I
this.
concur.
come to
Thank
closing.
you. Thank you
All right,
very
we've
much.
had motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. It's ours. All right, the next item is consideration of a board member authorized and designated as a township representative as signatory for the Freedoms Foundation Conservation Easement Agreement closing transaction. I'd recommend Jim.
I was to say, I would like to nominate Jim.
I'll second that.
Okay. I think all of us are in favor of that. We've had the motion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Martha moved and
Martha,
I
under-
second.
I understand. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And what's the acreage again, the total acreage?
13th of April.
No, the acreage.
Oh, 41 point,
46.1.
I thought it was 41.64.
So almost 40, almost 42 acres.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
Bob, you can leave and go home, go to bed.
Yes.
Bob, thank you for your work on this.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, the next item's on our new business.
Feel better soon.
Consideration of the zoning hearing board recommended alternate member. It's Mary Gall. Had good references and such like that.
Yes.
I would make a motion that we accept her on the zoning hearing board.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next item is the consideration of the planning commission recommended member, who is Mark Donovan. It's excellent,
Absolutely.
excellent
I'll make that
record.
motion.
I'd like to hear a motion. It's been made,
I'll
second.
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Really superb,
So moved.
superb resume. Is he here this evening or?
All right.
I'm a Drexel graduate also.
And the next item for new business is the motion to exonerate uncollectible real estate property tax liens on certain parcels. I'd like to hear if, what our treasurer says about that.
Well, do we have to make a motion first? Before we can
Well,
discuss it?
Should be a motion.
No,
Okay, I'll make the motion, and then we can
I'll
discuss
second.
it.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's
There are
all I wanted to hear. If the motion was made by the treasurer, then I go ahead and go for
Okay,
it. Okay?
I'll make the motion.
The motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just would like to make a comment about this. There are 4 parcels that Chester County has decided that we cannot collect the taxes on them.
Right.
It extends for 6 years. It is, like I said, 4 parcels, and the dollar amount is $452. So I'm okay with exonerating this, so.
And they're not occupied anymore,
No,
right?
they're not occupied, they don't exist anymore. It's a lot of work for a very small amount of money, and I'm glad someone else thought this was a bit hysterical, but I'm okay with exonerating these.
Okay, motion's been
And
made,
you made the
second.
motion, so that
Yes.
underscores the exclamation point.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Is there any more new business, folks? All right, let's move under resolutions and ordinances. Motion to send the ordinance amendments for specific sections is Chapter 370 zoning and Chapter 320 subdivision, and the rescinding of Chapter 299 soil erosion, sedimentation, and grading control of the Chester County Planning Commission for review and commissions. I would like to bring up, before Jim might say a few words, all of this was brought to our planning commission, okay? And the planning commission went over these items too, and they approved it, and they're sending it to us and to our ordinance commission also. So I would like to say that we have people that have reviewed this. Our solicitors reviewed it. Gilmore has reviewed it. We have no problems with this whatsoever in the changes that have been made and the recommendations that made. I would make the motion that we do accept this, so.
I'll second that.
I do have a discussion item under, I can't read the page number. It's under the historic ordinance changes. It's been redlined a whole section about that if there is a Class 1 or a Class 2 property on a property that is going to be developed. It takes out a lot of the meat in that paragraph.
That section that is taken out is in the subdivision and land development ordinance.
Right.
It did not belong in there. The
Okay,
historic resource ordinance that is still in place in the zoning ordinance has not been touched.
good.
So
Okay.
that language should not have been in the subdivision ordinance to begin with.
Okay, and Bill, you're okay with?
Yes.
Taking,
Absolutely.
extracting that piece of paragraph? Okay,
All of these recommended amendments are cleanup items.
Fine.
Specifically to that point, that it's not in the right ordinance.
thank you. Thank
And
you
some
for
of the other-
explaining.
some of
The
the
devil's
other-
in the details.
Yeah,
All right,
some of
we-
the other edits that were in there too, I think there was like some things that, they said that, the engineer was supposed to review and,
He's already doing it.
no,
elsewhere.
the engineer doesn't review it, it should come from the building code enforcement and
Gotcha.
different things like that. So a lot of the cleanup was just that, it was to make sure that the proper place for certain things was in there.
Right.
That's what
Well,
that
just
was.
so long as if there's a historic property, Class 1 or Class 2, on a property that is going to be developed, that would be covered, but covered elsewhere
It
and
is
not here.
covered-
Yes.
covered
I'm,
in the
I'm
zoning
fine then.
ordinance.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thanks, Barb.
I think I would like to bring up to my colleagues something about this, so you know it, and especially to our taxpayers. Last year, we formed a new committee here in our in our township, and it was an ordinance committee. And it was comprised of Jim Morrison, who does the majority of our ordinances for us, Mary Bird, Martha Majeski, John Sator from Gilmore Associates, and Bill Brennan, our solicitor. We have a very, very strong group of people that meet once a month and go over the ordinances and make sure that they will be in compliance with our township, in compliance with state regulations, county regulations, and where we're coming from. And I think we all should be very proud of that we go over this and when these things come up to us too. So, anything else, Darren?
Thank you.
Let me, if I could just comment on it. One of the things I think that maybe the audience would like to hear is we've actually eliminated a whole chapter. Okay? The soil erosion, sedimentation, and grading control is the requirements in this chapter of our zoning ordinance, or actually not our zoning ordinance, a separate chapter in our list of ordinances. Anyway, these items are covered elsewhere, mostly in the stormwater management ordinance that we adopted, within the last year or so, at the request and almost the, shall we say, the demand of the county, because we use the county's form to do that. But there are other areas in our ordinance which cover these items. So our engineer Gilmore and John Sartor and his assistant Mary Lou took a real close look at this particular chapter and did the necessary research, and that's the conclusion they arrived at. So I think they're to be commended for that.
Thank you, Jim. All right, everybody's heard the motion has been made, it's been seconded. Is there any more discussion, Susan or Martha or anybody? Okay. God bless you. Is there any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, everybody. The next item is the motion to advertise the Chester County Emergency Services Recommended Communication Amplification System Ordinance. Bill and Mary have gone over this, and Bill didn't think that we had to move into the ordinance committee or such like this. He's reviewed it quite carefully, and so has Mary, and we think that we have a good document here. It's ready to go, and everything's okay. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Actually, Bill, I have a question. It's about enforcement. There are tests that have to happen once a year, and then another test that has to happen every 5 years. Who enforces that?
That's something that would be done through the police department.
So the police department would enforce those?
You bring the police and fire, you move out, test it, make sure everything's where it needs to be, and make sure everything's working with the DEP put in.
Okay.
Specifically, if we need any weight at all, we just go back to the county and they kind of lean into the property and up.
So you're given a list of properties that may need to have this testing?
It's really trial and error. We don't know we have a problem until we're in there. Some of the things we can see, with the new school, we can plan for it. With the
Okay.
YMCA and its expansion over the years, we planned for it. Initially, Schuylkill School had a lot of problems and we had to work our way through it. So it's really, if we can identify the needs early on, great, but other than that, it's really gonna be, we don't know when we're gonna have a problem until we're in there, and we have it. When we do identify the problem, Jim and I communicate the issues, we do our own testing, we go back to the county to see if there's anything that's physically wrong with the radio system before we go back to the.
Okay, because the way the ordinance reads, it reads that the property owner is required to have a licensed person do this testing. Or not a license, is it licensed or, authorized, I think is the word that it uses. So it doesn't sound like it's you that does the testing, it sounds like it's a third party that comes in and does this testing. And then they hand you the findings of the reports.
And the county can supply that testing as well.
So you don't have a list of properties that need to have this testing,
No.
okay? It just seems to
So how are we
be-
gonna know if we might have missed one?
We don't anticipate any issues. The new radio system's been on the street for just about a year. It's been great. This was done in an effort a few months ago at the county level to help make sure that the known problem areas, specifically Upper Euclid and I believe South of Coastville, had some serious deficiencies to help provide that signal inside the building.
Okay,
So, Bill, do you feel comfortable that we're gonna be able to fulfill this properly? I mean, I'm concerned, as Martha is, that if we don't even know which properties have an issue, we're gonna do our best.
It's
That's
very
my question,
technical.
too.
To some extent, we're relying on our police and fire professionals to say that this is necessary for the protection of the public welfare. I don't think we want to be going out citing property owners. It's not going to happen. We will look to our police officers and our fire department to see whether there's anything we can do. If we have to write a letter or follow up, we'll do that. This is to assist them in trying to make sure this amplification system is in place and it's working on a regular basis. But you don't have to have a listing, as I understand it, in order to make it work.
So can I just ask you, so if we had a property that had a problem and we didn't know about it, and our police force or our fire department goes into that building and they can't communicate because of a problem with the building and someone gets injured, we're not gonna be liable, are we, because
No.
we didn't comply with
Good
this
point.
ordinance?
No,
Okay.
we're not.
Okay.
Thank you for raising that. I was gonna ask the same thing.
Okay, the motion's been made, it's been seconded.
I do have a
Jim?
little clarification to make, if I could. Mary and I had a brief discussion about this afternoon. Turns out that this is a new ordinance. This is not changing anything that's existing. This is
Yeah.
basically setting up a new chapter, if you will. To that end, then, I think that the first line, instead of amending, it should be adding, I think, is what we really meant to say there.
Okay,
Okay?
yep.
All right.
Okay, Susan, I liked your input very much. Thank you for all your help. All right, we've had the motion and it's been seconded. And we have a discussion on it. Is it all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, everybody. All right, the next item is motion to approve resolution 2107. Excuse me, amending the procedures for rules for compliance with the Pennsylvania Right to Know law.
This is an update for, there's a resolution in place. There were a couple of changes to.
It's just amending the
Right,
thing, right?
correct.
Okay.
Is this recommendations from the state?
Mary?
These are recommendations that came, and it is part of the Pennsylvania Code.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So basically, copies of commercial construction
Mhm.
records cannot be just given to anyone.
Okay.
If you're the property owner, yes, you can get copies of it. If you're just coming in to make copies, you cannot do it. You can't even do it with the phone by taking pictures. So.
Okay.
they may-
Copyright issues.
There's copyright issues with it, right.
Thank you. So it's amending something that's already in place.
It's amending our right to know policy that we have now
Got
by
it.
adding that one paragraph.
Okay.
To be consistent with the state, is that?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Right.
Do I hear the motion?
I so move.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Is there anything more on resolutions and ordinances? All right,
I've got some additional business.
okay, and hang on just a
We're
minute.
getting down to that point.
Okay. Anything on subdivision land development? Anything more? Okay. Okay, Jim, additional business, you're up.
Okay, a couple items. One is we've had two applications for conditional use involving some parcels on at the intersection of White Horse Road, South White Horse Road, and Valley Forge Road. We've taken a look at these, and some of us feel that our ordinances are not, are basically not compatible with the application. Okay, so the motion I'm going to be making here is that we engage a lawyer on behalf of the township to,
Not the town.
I mean, on behalf of the township, the planning commission, and the historical commission, which is what we agreed to.
What's the motion?
I'm making a motion that we engage a lawyer on behalf of the planning commission, the historical commission, and/or the township to represent these entities in the conditional use hearings. There are two of them.
And the purpose of that is to protect and defend the township's ordinance?
Correct.
I'll second that.
All right, all right, colleagues, I've heard the motion.
Now, Bill, do we name the
We
lawyer?
should identify the attorney.
Yeah.
Do we have to name the lawyer in this motion?
Yes.
Okay,
The lawyer that we would like to engage is Mr. William J. Bola of High Schwartz in Norristown.
He's in the Doylestown office.
Say again?
Doylestown.
Doylestown? Okay.
They have two offices. He's in the
Oh,
Doylestown.
okay, all right, well, he's with the firm of High Schwartz.
Correct.
So that's an addition to the motion I've just made.
the motion's been made, the motion's been seconded. I agree with the motion, I just have some reservations about the lawyer. Maybe he's good, but okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Jim. Is there anything other?
Oh,
additional?
there's one other thing, if I could, Fred, I had two things. As some of you may know, I'm the township's representative to the PSATS convention coming up here in April. They simply require representatives from the municipality to be designated as a voting member. So I would ask the board to, since I'm the only one going, to
Wait,
name
me as a voting representative.
I have a
from the
question. I have a question.
township. Yeah.
Have you seen the 4 or 5 items that the Cato people want to bring up and for you people to endorse? Do you endorse all the items that they do, or are we not in agreement, say, with them?
I believe there's 52 resolutions.
Yeah, I understand
that
that.
are going to come before the township supervisor.
But there's only so many they have decided to earmark, which they mentioned in their
And of the 52,
discussion.
Of the
Yeah.
52,
Yeah.
there are 3 two of which the PSATS board recommends opposing, and there's one where they just basically would like to see it drop. anyway, in essence, they would not like to have approval for these 3 resolutions. I think that that's compatible with the Cato folks. I'm not sure on that, but that's my impression.
All right, but without our knowing the substance, we can't.
But just because
authorize you to
Cato
vote
says,
one way or the
just
other.
because Cato says it's okay doesn't mean we say it's okay.
That is correct.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Bill.
Hold on a second.
Okay, anything else
I
on?
have, you know, as long as I brought it up, there is one from Chester County that PSATS is recommending to oppose.
That's right.
Okay, and another one that they're recommending to oppose. So I'm glad
2 of 'em.
glad I hedged my, not from Chester, but from Allegheny County. Just one from Chester County, and that one is that the resolution reads: resolved that PSATs seek legislation and changes to regulations to ensure that off-property billboards comply with Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution. The reason that PSATs feels they don't want to support it is the committee of the PSATs board that was reviewing these things felt the resolution was too restrictive, as townships currently have the ability to regulate outdoor advertising through their zoning ordinances. So they think it's overkill.
Okay, on the other hand, an important regional municipality group like this does have a say. And as we know from the ordinances that we created, the municipal governance of billboards is quite important. So I would not vote for that PSAT
Well,
change.
you're speaking about the region. The region, the regional planning committee only has recommendation power, if you will. They
I
can only
understand that.
recommend. They cannot enforce any ordinances.
I
Sure.
was talking about us in a generic sense, in a region, there is great opposition, and we appropriately, as did Phoenixville, have ordinances to contend with that. I don't think it's appropriate for PSAT to be helping us to govern the idea of what the billboard should be.
Well, that's an effect.
And that's just going to be, they're advisory as well, that I just
Right, no,
respectfully disagree.
Your concern is actually what they're saying. They're basically saying, don't bring the Section 27, Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution into this to oversee this particular area of compliance. Let the local municipalities pass ordinances that.
Okay, I thought it was the opposite.
No, that's the position they're taking. So,
Fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jim, very much. I hope you don't mind me bringing that up. But all right, anything else in additional business? All right, let's move on to public participation. Mr. Keller?
Hold on, Fred.
We need to,
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Fred.
wait a minute.
Jim has asked for a vote to nominate him as the voting member of PSATs.
We've already voted on it.
no, we didn't do the motion yet, Fred.
And Fred, I'm just gonna abstain because I didn't realize this was something we were gonna be voting on, so I'm not familiar enough to say whether I would agree with the vote, so I'm gonna.
I thought we voted a couple of months ago for him to attend and him to be the voting member. I'm sure we did, because I'm the one that brought it up.
To attend, but.
To
be the
attend,
voting
but
member?
not voting.
I think he now wants to be the voting member.
I think we ought to be safe, more safe than sorry on this. I mean.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion, since Mr. Morrison is going to be the person to attend for Schuylkill Township, that he be the voting member from our township.
So, let me get this straight. You would vote for all 5 of us, or just for yourself?
He's representing the township, so he'd be voting for,
Township, attending this convention.
that's why I brought those questions up.
Well, and we can't be the only township that's dealing with this. I mean,
No.
Yeah.
The problem I see is an administrative headache of having Jim consider 53 resolutions and getting a vote from you on 53 resolutions. I mean, it's a nightmare. So the
Right.
question is, most of these are recommendations. They're not really for laws. They are for, we're in favor of this, we're against that, right? So the
Correct.
question is really whether you will allow Jim to guess what your sense is on these resolutions, or tell him not to vote. He can't vote for himself. He either votes for the township or he doesn't, so.
That's right.
But the truth is that, you know, it's not law, it's just a sentiment. So, and you know Mr. Morrison, so if you trust him to vote appropriately, that's
And
fine.
PSATs is just an advisory
That is correct.
group.
They're in effect,
They don't
they're in
really-
effect, PSAS is in effect a lobbying organization for townships to the legislature. And that's what effectively these resolutions are all about, to try to improve operations and consideration of the township's welfare across the state. One example being able to advertise for ordinances and other things on our website. I mean, this has been brought up time and time again as a general premise for the legislature to take some action on. Hasn't happened yet, but it's in one of these 52.
All right, do I remember? I'll make the motion that Mr. Morrison be the voting member from the township and vote for the township. Do I hear a second on that? Okay. So he can attend, but he's not going to vote for the township. Okay. So moved.
And with all due respect, I haven't studied the issues closely enough to be able to say I'm fine with
I
it.
have to say to the board.
With all respect,
Wait a
Jim.
minute. You were distributed these 52 resolutions, which you could have read, which I hope you did. And you can
Well, I did, or I wouldn't have asked the
Well, I read
question.
it.
You can see the complexity involved, and, you know, I would say that those that didn't incline to support my vote, voting representing of the township, you ought to register to attend the convention.
Well, Jim, let me just say that I think that if you wanted us to vote and have you be the voting member, it would have been something to put on the agenda, and then I would have looked at those in a different light. But since I didn't realize we were going to decide tonight whether to have you be our voting representative, I'm not prepared to do that. So in my view, it should have been something we put on the agenda, and I would have looked at that as an issue we were going to address tonight.
Thank you. I feel the same way. And please, it's not meant
It's
to be
something we-
disrespectful in any way, Jim.
Yeah, but it's something we've done before, so I didn't think it was gonna be any big deal. And frankly, I thought that Mary would have put it on the agenda. I didn't push it, so that's where we are, but I think it's short-sighted.
Okay. Do we need to, would it be necessary then to have an emergency meeting to, after all of you look at these issues, to have a quick meeting to approve our representative?
If it's important to Jim, I would be happy to do that.
Yeah, I would go along with that.
3 minutes, right?
Okay.
Yes, it is, and I appreciate it.
What is the date of this?
The PSATS convention is at the end of the month, April 23rd through April 26th.
Okay.
So we got virtually the rest of the month here.
So,
Mary?
Mary or Jim, maybe you can synthesize in a bullet point kind of thing what has been suggested. Okay? I didn't get that as part of my paper portfolio that I request from the township each month, and I go through with a fine tooth comb. So therefore, since it was not in my packet, there was no way I could study this before our meeting this evening.
You've addressed it in prior meetings. You've addressed it at least three other times.
Well, they also spoke of it in some detail at the Cato conference that we had 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Well, the planning commission meets on the 19th. We could have a brief board meeting, like quarter of 8. They start at 8. I mean, this is not a long deal here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
I'm not available, but I think you'll have enough people to do it without me.
Okay.
All right.
So Wednesday, the 19th, at 7, the
At 7:40.
planning commission is at 8.
Right.
We're meeting at 7:45.
7:45.
I don't need to be there either, by the way.
Wednesday, the 19th?
Wednesday, the 19th.
Sorry, Jim.
Thank you.
Just a minute, please.
Thank you, Fred.
I'm a very patient person. One
I got to make sure that
of my
I'm going to be.
One of my attributes.
All right, Mr. Keller, move on.
Hey, my name's Jim Keller. I live in the mobile home park. And I have just some brief items that won't take much of your time. Maybe I should have brought this up at old business. Back in October of 2016, I came here to the meeting and requested that you enforce your ordinance with regard to the park owners building and maintaining a play area in the park, and there is room to do that. And also, there's nowhere to play for the kids except riding their bikes, which are dangerous. And they had a basket there for a long while, and then it was taken down. And apparently, Mr. Pfeiffer has no regard for children whatsoever. So that's one item, and it's now April, and I've seen no action whatsoever by the supervisors to force him to do what he's supposed to do. Okay, the second item is, last week I got a phone call from the township police threatening me with arrest. I've been a responsible member of this township for over 17 years. And I got upset that the township police would call me and tell me that they want to arrest me if I step foot on the YMCA. Now, the person ought to be arrested is Mrs. Wood, who directs actions at the YMCA. There's no freedom of speech there. There's racial and age discrimination. And there's also, in the Wellness Center, we have women who flaunt their bodies in front of children that are as young as 10 years old. She don't want to do anything about it. She wants to hassle me, not do what she's supposed to do. Okay, another one is the light. There's no green light, no green arrows on the lights there at Pothouse Road in 29. I think that would be helpful if they had green arrows there. I don't know what the story with PennDOT is, but apparently they're not going to put any green arrows in there.
I think Mary is already working with PennDOT on that. She addressed that issue for you.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Feldman and I are working on that.
Is Pothouse Road a state road?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you. One item is, another item, the last item is basically, I walk through this park day in and day out to get exercise, especially now since I've been tossed out of the Y. And I see very few patrols in this park. And I'm requesting that we have regular patrols in this park.
Which park?
The mobile home park. Yeah. There's a few people that have do drugs, and I think, we need more of a eye on the park than what has been going on. And like I said, I know this is a fact because I walk the park, and it's time that the police chief gets involved and we get a better situation. I mean, I realize a lot of times that the park doesn't even exist as far as some of the people that are supervisors here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Yes,
All right,
I hope that you
hang-
take
hang
some
on.
action on the.
Hang on, please. You listed 4 items. Number 1, the play or the rec area
What?
for a playground or such. Number 1, that is up to, do you have an association of people that meet, like a home association of people to do it?
No, I don't. No, I
Has the gentleman that owns the property said he would put one in there? Has
Are
he
you
promised that?
kidding?
It's not the township's responsibility to put a
Why do you
playground.
have a-
Hang on, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not the township's responsibility to put a playground in every housing development that we have in the township. So consequently, I don't think that you have a leg to stand on there unless he had promised it to you, unless it's in, you have bylaws and everything for this. You can't do that, Jim. That's all there is to it.
This has nothing to do with the township. He's supposed to provide this to build this
Who
thing.
is?
Mr. Pfeiffer.
You may I
I
make a
don't see how-
positive
It's not-
suggestion for
I'm
you?
not talking about going all in different, all the parks in this area. It says right in the ordinance that he's responsible to build and maintain a park in the mobile
Okay,
home park.
may I make a positive suggestion?
All right, let him
Here's what I
sit
would
down.
suggest. You have energy and you're motivated to do something in a positive way for the place where you live. I would suggest that you contact families who are living in your area there and you gather them, I think Fred's point was excellent, there is no homeowners association to petition the owner of the property to provide that kind of a service for you. That would be a positive way to go forward. I think Fred has carefully explained that township has no authority to do something in something that is privately owned. But I think if the owner of the property were to see that a majority of the people living there wanted to see this amenity added to the development, he might act affirmatively. Just a suggestion, sir.
Thank you for your.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
You know, what, can I just add, I think Lori Williams is raising money for playground equipment, so you might want to contact her.
Well, anyways, I have tried this for a long time. The people in this park, a lot of them are elderly, they have been intimidated for over 50 years. They will not do nothing. They will not, they're afraid to do anything because Mr. Pfeiffer has big bucks and influence. And they're not gonna do anything, no matter what I try to do, they're not gonna do anything. And I'm dependent on you. You have this ordinance, and as far as I'm concerned, it's your responsibility to enforce it.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else for public participation?
Hi, my name is Marie McKnight, and I live at 20 Bantry Lane.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
My name is Marie McKnight, and I live at 20 Bantry Lane. And I would like to know if there has been an application for rezoning of the property that the University of Valley Forge owns on Route 23.
Not to my knowledge.
Nothing.
Not by my knowledge either.
They've come in, there've been discussions, but there's been no filing of anything.
So what is in discussion for that property?
They came in
Nothing.
and wanted to talk about a proposal, we listened, and then they left.
So are they preparing that then to sell?
I don't know. If they file something, it becomes a public matter, and we take it from there. But people come in all the time with applications, and we discuss them.
When and how would we find out?
Well, if there's a request for rezoning, people get notice within 500 feet, there'd be a public hearing, and if you live within 500 feet, you get notice. Otherwise, you'd have to keep an eye on the website.
So, the house, like, in what
nothing
time
pending.
frame
There's
would it
nothing.
go on the website?
We have nothing before us right now. If an application comes in, we put out the notification of what's going on. You'll see it for agendas, possibly for planning commission, for the board of supervisors. We'll get it on our website. Right now, there is nothing before us,
So there's nothing concrete.
nothing.
So Mary, if they came tomorrow with a plan, how soon would she get information?
Pretty much right after I let the board know.
Okay,
And would probably end up going to the planning commission to start with.
okay.
I just have to make a comment on this. Excuse me. We for a while thought this thing had died on the vine. No, that's not the case, at least from one aspect. We were copied on a highway occupancy application permit with PennDOT, okay? And the numbers in that application reflect the numbers that are being proposed or were proposed in terms of housing units by University of Valley Forge and its developer representative. So, but beyond that, nothing's happening.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yes, sir.
Is the University of Valley Forge?
Come up,
Sorry,
come.
yeah, sorry.
Maarten Personair, 270 Country Lane. Is the University of Valley Forge still the owner, or did they already transfer the property to a developer?
As far as we know, they're still the owner.
Correct.
Thank you.
They have, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have an equitable owner's agreement, I think, at this point.
There is nothing that shows that the
There's-
property has transferred. They
Not-
still
no.
own the property.
But it's like the Poly Reeves
We
thing.
can't talk about, because there's
We
nothing,
don't know.
No
We
business
don't know,
before
Jim.
us, Jim.
Yeah.
I think
Just
it's
don't
better
have
not
anything.
to-
Jim.
There's nothing before us that says that.
The question is to the lawyer in the board. Is the deed of the gift that I understand Hobby Lobby gifted property to the Valley Forge University?
We're not involved in that, we have no comment.
Is that type of document public?
All there is hearsay, rumors on the street.
No, I'm asking if the deed itself
can't
is a
say
public
that.
document that we as the public.
If it's
One would think
recorded, it
so.
should be public.
Okay, is it recorded?
I mean, I
Should
don't
be
know.
at the
Go to Chester
Recorder of
County.
Deeds office,
Yeah,
yeah.
it would be at the Chester County Recorder of
Okay.
Deeds.
Okay.
Which you can get online.
We have no involvement
No,
at
no, but I
all.
would like to see, because I
Sure.
have a feeling if I were Hobby Lobby and I gifted a property like this with a certain philosophy to a institution like Valley Forge University, I would be sort of miffed if they turned around and tried to make a big profit out of it.
Any citizen can check any deed that's recorded
Okay.
at the Recorder of Deeds office in Westchester.
And these should be, but this type of deed should be recorded.
Yeah, every.
Any
I know,
transfer.
I'm an MD, not a lawyer, so.
Every deed should be, every property should have a deed, but there are, sometimes people have things in different names and different
Mhm.
corporations. I have no idea.
Okay.
What is your name, sir?
Maarten Personair. Maarten Personair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kathy Lex. I live in Sunwood Farm, and it's also in relation to this. So I understand I was here for the original hearing with the place jam-packed. And my question is, how much pressure will they put on you to approve this with their lawyers? Because if the property, it is under a contract as such to the holding company that wants to build the monstrosity there. So my question is your responsibility to the people's needs, or will you be sort of subject to their money and their lawyers? That's my
I
question.
can't believe you're asking that question. So your question is, will the board be bought off by the
Not bought
developer?
off, pressured because
That's
maybe
a
you
kind
don't.
of insult, actually, to ask that.
No, that's not what I said. What I said was, you would then have to have lawyers to represent you if they decided to sue with their lawyers.
Yeah, we're not afraid of that. We have litigation, and I happen to be the lawyer, it doesn't say so.
Okay.
And I provide advice to the board. When they bring an application in, if they do, it's evaluated in accordance with the law. The law is called the Municipalities Planning Code.
Mhm.
And we have to go through certain steps to review the application. It depends on what they're applying for. It could be a rezoning, it could be a development plan, it could be a subdivision. So the board is required by law to act in the best interest of the township, and that's everybody in the township.
Right,
They're a property owner too, by the way, so we
Yes,
can't.
I know I
All right,
am. I know every year when the bill comes, which I have no problem paying the taxes in the township. I love living here. I would like it to stay the way it is. And I think that most of the people, you're saying 500 feet need to be notified, right? But you are saying that everybody in the township would be able to see what's going on. Is that correct?
No question about it.
Well, let's be clear. You say to see what's going on. There's a website that is public, and it depends on what they come in with. But if they come in with a zoning application, everybody
Mhm.
within 500 feet gets, a written
Yes,
notice.
written notice.
Written notice, and the property is normally posted. And the supervisors are not in the business of hiding things, from the public. So, we've never had a situation where there's been a major development where nobody knew about it. So, word gets out, press gets a hold of things, and, there's no way to keep something like that secret. So,
Right.
but I can't make any promise that, that you're gonna get a specific letter or whatever, so.
Oh, no, I am within probably
All right, okay.
that amount
Right.
of footage to it. But my concern is that people won't be notified, and then
You'll be
That's
notified.
not-
too late.
Right, and may I say, there was a letter that was disseminated by somebody
Yes,
last year.
yes.
And we've heard this in the
Not
news.
myself, but I
Okay.
did receive that letter.
That was fake news, so I'll just leave it that way. So we have to be careful to sort out the facts from the fake news that may be disseminated by someone's specific purpose. Just leave it
Yes,
that way.
now that is why I came to the meeting.
Thank
To
you.
listen to what
The
was
truth is
proposed.
important.
And the truth is not good, from what the proposal was that night, because I know what that development is like, okay? I've seen it many times, I'm a nurse, I understood everything they were saying. And of course, they're salespeople, so they're presenting it in the best light. I just want to make sure that the people will know ahead of time, and I didn't know if this had come before you, and, you know, people are saying, oh, it's already a done deal, and I said, well, I didn't get any notification, I didn't see anything on the website, so I just want to make sure that people know.
Right.
what's
It was a
going-
preliminary presentation. It was nothing formal, and frankly speaking, it was way too crowded from my own perspective
Yes, it was
to
jam-packed.
ever achieve approval. So I think, as I said, we have to be careful about fake news and rumors. We have lots of ways for you, all of you, to be informed of the facts appropriately.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's-
before you go, Mary, if a zoning change is proposed by an applicant, they have to come before the planning commission first, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. At that point, is there some notification that goes out, or because it's this kind of a change, or not?
The one notice that would go out is the agenda would go out onto the website.
The board's agenda.
No, the planning
The planning
commission.
No.
And
Yes,
the planning commission's agenda would be
Right.
put on the website.
correct.
And one of the big things that you can do is sign up for the constant contact.
We do,
Because,
I do,
because everything
yeah.
that,
We are.
yeah, good, because when something is put on the website, it'll hit your email box.
Right, exactly. My
So-
husband and I both have the email.
Good.
We downloaded that. and-
But if it comes to the planning commission, it's on the planning commission agenda, that agenda goes onto our website, so you're aware of the meeting coming up that you can attend.
Right, and that's what I want to be at the planning commission before it has to get to you.
Correct.
Right.
So that they understand how people are, you know, what they think of the situation. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and
You're
and
quite
speaking
welcome.
from your heart.
One last point, that apparently there has been no plans or anything finalized yet. The last time I walked around the property, I saw all kinds of markers which to me seem to indicate already sort of preparation of which trees to take out and which to straighten out.
Nothing at all has come to us.
Exactly, nothing come up, but it seems, I'm not an expert, it might be just this is an old tree to come out, but it didn't look that way to me with the number of marks on trees.
Well, they
and
can
in
mark
the-
their trees as much as they want, we can't stop them.
Okay, but there is activity going on that suggests that they're already planning things.
They're doing homework, but for what we do not know.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi, name is Robert Ophelia, 1270 Ridgeview Road. And I was just wondering if I could get a copy of the special, the minutes from the special meeting of March 24th, 2017.
They will be placed on the website.
Okay, and
What is your name, sir? I'm sorry.
Ophelia, O-P-I-E-L-A, first name Robert. And Mary, how do I get on this notification list, this email if something comes up?
It's on our website.
Okay,
I think it's at the bottom of the first page. You
If
can,
you go to the homepage of the Schuylkill Township website, which is schuylkilltwp.org, on the left-hand side, about 3/4 of the way down, you'll see a box that says join our email list. You put in your email address, it'll take you to a sign-up place where you choose what news you want to receive in your email.
okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you very much,
It's very
Robert.
simple.
Anybody else? You've already,
Yeah, I just have one question for the
Sure.
supervisors. We were talking about open space here earlier, and I want to know why the township didn't buy the Meadowbrook Golf Course.
I don't have any idea.
I mean, there's a beautiful piece of open space. Now you're gonna have schools, you're gonna have ball fields, and you're gonna have a overwhelming gridlock. And my issue has always been that what happens if there's an accident at the peak time at Pot House Road?
Well, there's a lot of issues there, Jim.
How are you gonna get emergency vehicles?
Lot of issues,
What?
which,
How are you
to
gonna get emergency vehicles down there?
talk to the school district and PennDOT
I
and such
already
like
talked
that.
to the superintendent
Okay.
twice, and
Okay.
I came down here to the supervisors with the issue. We're talking about injuries, we're talking about fatalities. How are you gonna get emergency vehicles down in that area? Within 2 minutes, that whole area will be filled with cars.
Thank
Okay,
you for
thank
sharing
you.
your thoughts, Mr. Keller.
Is there any more public participation? All right, I would like,
Motion to go into executive session.
yes.
I
I hear a
move.
motion to move into executive session.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So move. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Well, the second portion of the Board of Supervisors is in session. Please, would you come sit down? The regular Board of Supervisors meeting is in process.
I'm sorry, I thought we finished, we voted to adjourn.
We did. We adjourned the executive session.
Sorry.
Susan? Excuse me, folks. Susan?
She thought we adjourned the regular meeting too.
No,
right?
we adjourned the executive session.
My apologies for adjourning too
I
quickly.
hear a motion to adjourn the Board of Supervisors meeting.
I so move that we adjourn the supervisors.
Do I hear a
meeting.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
The board's over. Oh, excuse me, folks. We came out of the executive session where we discussed litigation and personal issues, and there were no motions to make. So consequently, now I would like to entertain the motion to adjourn the meeting. Okay? So
I'll make
moved.
that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Sorry,